All right, hump day. Welcome to Frontline, 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. We begin tonight. Some big news out of Minnesota, and no, it's not more violent riots. The DOJ Civil Rights Division, led by Harmeet Dillon, seemingly the only person actually doing something over at the DOJ, has sued the state of Minnesota over its affirmative action program that directs agencies on hiring decisions based on race or sex. Harmeet, keep going. Also, for all those who are worried about the midterms and Trump dragging down the party, I give you this. Republican Norman Crow won a special state election in a district Trump only won by 20 points in 2024. Crow won it by nearly 30. And massive issues today with Verizon's network. Thousands of customers impacted as a network outage gripped the nation today. But first, the days of coming here and being a burden to actual working Americans is over. Let's do this. Okay, now we are doing some America First stuff. Today, the Trump administration is freezing all visas from 75 countries because it has become abundantly clear that they are a public charge, and what we have been saying for a while now. There is a law on the books that actually prohibits all of this burden. Here, look at this. U.S. immigration law codified in Section 212A4 of the Immigration Nationality Act. Section 8, U.S. Code 1182. This provision states that any non-citizen in the opinion of the immigration officials, and if they didn't see this coming, they should fire those immigration officials, is likely at any time to become a public charge, i.e. primarily dependent on the government. That person's inadmissible to the United States. Now, I wish we could cut all foreign aid to these countries, too, but I'll take what we can get for now. See, despite the left's incessant, incoherent, Ivy League big word ramblings, diversity is not our greatest strength. And many of the countries we halted visas from don't even have running water, okay? So if you think we should keep taking people from these countries, I would honestly, I'd sit back. Please articulate your measurable metric for wanting the least wealthy people of Rwanda, Laos, or Guinea here. Like, what's your reasoning for wanting refugees from those countries, or anybody for this matter, when we have veterans sleeping on the street? No, seriously. Articulate that. Anyone? More than 30 of the countries on this list are very openly anti-America. Oh, Carl, they may be people fleeing from those countries. Not my problem. Flee to any of the others, sometimes, 50 countries that are closer to you than America. Free rides over, libs. Notice Somalia is on that list, thank God. It's on that list because the last time we took refugees from there, we got Ilhan Omar because her father, a high-ranking officer in a regime committing genocide, when that government that he was killing for collapsed, the citizens wanted to kill them, naturally. That's not exactly my idea of the type of people I want to take in here. Out-of-work genociding generals. And I can hear the lips. Oh, Carl, Ilhan was just a kid. She would have been murdered if she stayed. Why is that America's problem? It was her father's action that earned them that fate. And now we're stuck with her as a congresswoman in a state that just got caught sending $9 billion right back to the terror groups in the country that she fled from. You see the problem here, right? Also, most of the people who are claiming refugee status, not only here, but all over the world, Sweden recently did a study on this, and it turned out, would you look at that, 79% of their refugees actually went back and vacationed in the countries they claimed that they had to leave. That's why Somalis under refugee status are bringing suitcases of cash through airports to go back to Somalia while the IRS audits you and I for $600 in Venmo trends. You cannot make this stuff up. People are coming here under our good graces. We are subsidizing them, and then they steal that money and then ship it back to terrorists in their home country while vacationing over there after telling us that they had to come here because they were fleeing for their life. Yeah, that's not happening anymore. But it was happening from a lot of those countries on that list. Get them all out of here. And not just the worst of the worst. Everyone who is here illegally, and even people who were naturalized under fake or fraudulent or even questionable circumstances, gone. And most of the country agrees with me.
So again, according to a CNN poll, 54% of Americans, and according to a CBS poll, 57% of Americans want every illegal migrant deported. It's not a majority want the criminals, a majority want every single one.
That was the mandate from the last election that Donald Trump won in a landslide. But you got people like Jayapal who keep trotting out the talking point that people who are not contributing are somehow our greatest asset.
The majority of Americans across the country, regardless of political party, know that immigrants from all over the world, Somalia, India, wherever they're from, Latin America, Africa, that immigrants have built this country and make this country what it is today.
Is that right? No, it's not right. First, the people who founded this country that gave us the framework to succeed were settlers. Hate to break it to you, white settlers from Europe. Big distinction there. But yes, there are also immigrants who came here and built huge industries in this country. I can actually think of one African in particular. Oh, yeah, it's Elon Musk. But the left hates that he's the most productive African American. But plus, seriously, the countries or regions that Jayapal just named are not the ones who immigrated here and built America. Somalis didn't even start coming here till the 90s. And in all my research today, I could only find one single person of Somali descent that held any reasonable innovative patents here in America. Abdigani Diri, this guy. Oh, actually, he grew up in Great Britain since he was 5 years old, so okay. My point is, it's not a right to come to America. It is a privilege. Immigrants of past generations came here to contribute, and that was written into statute that I just told you about from December. And since over half of all these immigrant households that we have here in America now use at least one major welfare program that the Democrats say isn't happening, it's not only not a good idea to keep taking people in from these countries, it's literally against the law to let them in just based on their track record. I mean, right, who could have possibly seen that coming, too? Places like Liberia and Guinea have their average IQ floating as low as 45 and 65, respectfully. I'm just speaking numerically here. Why would we want people from a country with an average IQ lower than an elephant, border collie, or a parrot? Go look it up for yourself. I'm not making this up. And to Jayapal and all the other libs who say that immigrants built this nation, I'm just going to ask a broad question that I'm sure they will find offensive. But if all the immigrants from all these countries we have are so great and they built America, why didn't they build their own countries? I have a serious question. Why is it that if you add up all the countries, all 75 countries on that list, if you add up all their GDP total, it equals about $10 to $12 trillion for all of those 75 countries? Now, keep in mind, Russia and Brazil represent half of the GDP for combined all of those 75 countries. And then you compare that to America's $30 trillion GDP. We are 3 times all those combined countries. So tell me again, Jayapal, how they're our greatest strength. So again, if immigrants built this country, why are most of their home countries' GDP and wealth just a little bit more than a rounding error compared to America? See, this is the conversation for years we weren't supposed to have because it offended people. We were called racist and bigots or whatever the flavor of the victimhood of the left played to try to prevent you and I from discussing, I don't know, statistics and reality that America is a winner because of our culture, not other people's culture, certainly not Bangladesh, Iran, Bosnia, Haiti, or South Sudan. That's what this is about. It's not about hating other countries. It's about doing what's best for us to preserve our culture that made us the most powerful and greatest country in the world. That's what I'm here for. That's why I went to war, to go kill people who disagreed with that. And when you have people who are coming here and trying to turn this country into the dump that they came from, it should be fine for us to cut that off, send them back, and never worry about it. I mean, we don't play the call for prayer over loudspeakers at 5 a.m. We just don't do that in America. And if you want to do that, well, maybe this is not the place for you, and you can go back to Afghanistan. And you know what? Under Obama and other Democrats, they before they realized, actually, that they had to import these people in order to win elections. But we didn't have this problem because even before Trump took office in 2016, CNN was doing ride-alongs with ICE. They were praising them. Obama deported more people than Trump has. And it was quiet. There were no lawsuits and, midnight federal judge rulings that stopped Trump. And the cities, all the cities that are now claiming to be sanctuary cities, they all cooperated with the Obama administration, but they shared their data. We certainly didn't have judges letting illegals out the back door. So until we get that squared away, Trump was like, yo, we're just not taking anyone in from any of the country that is bringing us most of these problems. Simple as that. Tom Homan is the Trump's administration border czar. Sir, you have been on the front lines of this. And the problem is a lot of these people come here, some of them legally on visas, and then they stay here. And then you have to send your men and women into harm's way to get them out.
Well, look, your monologue is great. President Trump has locked down the border. Now he's locking down the entire immigration system. He's doing a deep dive. He's doing an autopsy, not just on the border, just on illegal immigration, but who's getting refugee status, who are getting visas, who are taking advantage of our social services, who's getting a visa that's anti-American, come to this country only to hate on America. So President Trump's doing a deep dive in everything immigration, and it's about time. And he's put America first, and that's the right thing to do. And I'm glad to be a part of it. Yeah,
well, look, I love having you as a part of it because you're one of the few people who's willing to do it. Even yourself, you've had to go into hiding at times because of the pressure. But the other thing is, like I just said, CNN back in 2015, 2016, they were doing ride-alongs with ICE. Watch this, sir.
Radio check.
Under the cloak of darkness in Chicago.
Attack one, guys.
An immigration and customs enforcement team gears up for another long day. The undocumented convicts they're going after were all released from Cook County Jail without immigration officials being notified.
Your adrenaline blood pressure, of course, goes up when you're getting ready to do something like this.
I mean, literally exactly what's happening now, but CNN was praising them. Now, you would think CNN hated you guys.
Yeah, that ride along in 2016, I was actually there. I was actually in Chicago at the time overseeing this ride along program. So yeah, look, it's been a complete reversal. I mean, you said it yourself, the Obama administration 1 year was 409,000 removals, which was a record at the time. Of course, we blew that out of the water this year with over 600,000 removals. And, 1.5 million self-deportations, but everything's upside down. We're in a place now where places like Minnesota and Illinois and California, where, the ones who enforce the laws are the bad guys, the ones who break the laws are the victims. But we're not slowing down. And let me correct something. Tom Homan never went in hiding. My family did.
Yeah, there you go.
Because they're not going to bully me out of here. I'm not going anywhere.
That's
so look, I'm shocked every morning I get up. And I see these protesters, these agitators, trying to prevent ICE from arresting a public safety threat. Will they step in front of the FBI arresting a terrorist, or the U.S. Marshal arresting a fugitive, or DEA arresting a drug trafficker? These are federal law enforcement officers, and you see the data. We're arresting child predators, child rapists, child sodomy convicts, murderers, aggravated assault. And people are standing in the way, trying to impede and interfere. Well, look, we're sending a lot more agents up there, and one of the groups of these agents, their job is to prosecute people who cross that line. So we're sending more agents. We're going to hold these people accountable. Justice is coming.
Yeah, now I'm watching the body slamming of the fat protesters. I'm just like, hey, you know what, Fafo. Real quick, though, these deportations, it's making America more affordable. We have the data, the White House showing today that in 14 of the top 20 cities, the largest illegal immigrant populations, homeless prices dropped as you guys have been deporting people. Places also like Ohio, where you had these Haitians receiving government benefits to buy housing, pricing out locals, sir.
Making the country more affordable. It's raising wages for the American worker because less illegal aliens are working under the table for half the wage. It's also making the country safe again. Look, we got about 670,000 deportations since President Trump's been in office. I mean, actual removals by officers. And if you look at the data, about 70% of everybody we arrest a criminal. You're looking at hundreds of thousands of public safety threats that we remove from this country. Every public safety threat, illegal alien removed, makes that neighborhood safer. So President Trump, the game changer, right? He's come in here not only to give us the most secure border in the history of this nation, a record number of aliens being deported from this country. Self-deportations, I think it's like 1.9 or almost 2 million.
Many.
And people say, well, you can't claim that because they left on their own. No. Part of the plan from the beginning was send a message worldwide. ICE doing these operations across the country every day sends a message to the whole world. Don't give your life savings to the cartels, make that dangerous journey.
Exactly.
There's no giveaway program here anymore. We'll be looking for you.
Now, Tom Homan, the work you're doing is great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Former Secretary of State Hilary Clinton joined her husband in defying a bipartisan lawful congressional subpoena to show up today. I think what's most disappointing to the Oversight Committee is the fact that we have, in good faith, negotiated with the Clintons' attorneys for 5 months. Here's the situation. We're going to hold both Clintons in criminal contempt of Congress.
Yeah, another no-show on the Hill today. Hillary Clinton, it was her day, just like her husband Bill. She defied another order from yesterday, and he was supposed to go testify on the Epstein stuff. She posted on X saying this is not about right and left, it's about right and wrong. Okay, maybe you should smash another BlackBerry with a hammer. Hillary, this is about following the law. Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, sir, I mean, like the blatant disregard, and everybody's out there saying, well, Trump's trying to hide the Epstein files. Look, I think they should release all the Epstein files, but the fact that the Clintons were like, no, we're just not going to testify, insane.
Well, and also, remember, the Democrats supported this, bringing in the Clintons for a deposition and for questioning. So it's not like it's just Republicans. The Democrats on that committee, on the Oversight Committee, supported that as well. So we'll see what happens. Chairman Comer is doing a good job, and we'll move forward from there. But yeah, the history with Hillary Clinton, one of the first, I think I was on the select committee for Benghazi, and I still remember when we deposed her in a public hearing. You know, what was that, 10 years ago now, and how she handled that, where servicemen lost their lives there in Benghazi because she handled that so bad. Yeah, remember that line with to Senator Johnson from Wisconsin. So yeah, we'll move forward from here. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they start putting some bracelets on these people because it's long overdue. All right, so next Thursday, Jack Smith, though, is scheduled to publicly testify. I mean, maybe he shows up, maybe he doesn't, but I hate this guy.
Well, he's going to show up. He's coming next Thursday at 10. I think the big takeaway for me is after we did a 7.5-hour deposition with Jack Smith, we've already deposed some of his key lieutenants who worked for him. One of them we referred to the Justice Department because we thought he was obstructing our investigation. He was obstructing our investigation. Two of those people who we deposed who worked for Jack Smith took the fifth 71 and 73 times respectively. So yeah, we'll bring him in next week. We've got some key questions for him. Like, who's this confidential human source you paid $20,000 to?
Well, that's actually...
What information did he give you? Maybe the more fundamental question, why did you have to do it? You're Jack Smith. You can subpoena anybody you want, bring him in for questioning, but you had to pay somebody to go say things about President Trump or whatever? So we think that's a key line of question.
Well, that's exactly my point. It's like, oh, I thought you had this lockstep case against President Trump. Why are you looking for more evidence and using more money that you're saying it's a waste to go after you now, Jack Smith? I mean, like, this is crazy.
Jack Smith is the sort of the culmination of this 10-year attack on President Trump. Remember, it started with Comey and taking the dossier and getting the warrant to spy on his campaign. Then it was the Mueller investigation, impeachment 1, impeachment 2, Alvin Bragg, Fani Willis, and then Jack Smith. And he did all this stuff, including, here's another line of questioning. You went and got the phone records of the Speaker of the House, the top Republican in the United States government, 16 days after he becomes Speaker, the guy who's second in line to the president. You go get his phone logs for a 2-month time period from 2 years prior. You know who he called, who called him, when the call took place, how long it lasted, where he was at when he initiated the call. You can pattern Speaker McCarthy's life. And you did that, and then you had the nerve to go to the judge and say, don't let the guy know. Don't let the Speaker of the House know that the Biden Justice Department's got his phone logs. Don't let him know that, because on the subpoena to the judge it said he might be a flight risk. He might leave. Are you kidding me? He's the Speaker of the House. That's how much Jack Smith was out to get President Trump. And look at the Washington Post editorial last weekend. They even say he went way, way too far.
And apparently he had nothing to raid Mar-a-Lago for. But Congressman Jim Jordan, pleasure as always, sir.
You bet, Carl. Take care.
All right. Trump's got his eyes set on Greenland. The foreign ministers of both Denmark and Greenland meeting J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio at the White House today. One congressman who's seeking to make it the 51st state. Live next.
Will you be able to afford your golden years? Do you worry how you'll make ends meet? You may be leaving up to $100,000 unclaimed. You need this special report. How to boost your Social Security and retirement by at least $100,000 or more. Get your free copy today. You've earned the benefits. Take advantage now. See our special offer to claim your free report. Call or go online today.
Omaha Steaks is America's original butcher.
Hold on, steak voiceover guy. I got this. Omaha Steaks is America's original butcher. But what's that mean? It means all these steaks are USDA certified tender.
Well, she's right.
Yeah, they love it. I love that they love it. This is why you get Omaha Steaks.
Right now, get 4 USDA certified tender steaks free when you visit omahasteaks.com/tender.
Skip the grocery store and
Yeah, skip the grocery store and get Omaha Steaks today.
Don't kibble your dog.
Oh, hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, Matt.
But what's wrong with this? It's premium stuff.
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means it's ultra-processed at extremely high temperatures that destroy the nutrients in the food. But at Dr. Marty, we gently freeze-dried premium meats, fruit, and vegetables, locking in their nutrients.
Never kibbled.
You got it, kid, and they're gonna love it.
Total Beets, America's best-selling Beets brand, is available at Walmart. Total Beets blood pressure support soft chews contain a key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. Take control of your health. Head to Walmart and get Total Beets blood pressure support soft chews today.
It can be hard when the ones who cared for you need care. So whether it's a caregiver at home or support at a senior living community, thenewcare.com makes it easier to find the right fit. Join now and find care at care.com.
Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio meeting with the foreign ministers of Denmark and Greenland today. Now, prior to the meeting, Denmark said they were increasing their military presence in and around Greenland, while Germany is also sending 5 or 6 troops as well. Now, according to President Trump, the United States needs Greenland. I agree, but he posted on Truth, quote, "The United States needs Greenland for the purpose of national security. It is vital for the Golden Dome that we are building. NATO should be leading the way for us to get it. If we don't, Russia or China will, and that's not going to happen. NATO becomes far more formidable and effective with Greenland in the hands of the United States. Anything less than that is unacceptable." Now, Greenland is saying, well, they're not for sale, but we did once have de facto control of Greenland. We just gave it back. Because remember when Denmark fell during World War II, which that was the blueprint for our current military presence there. Let me break this down for you really quickly, okay? Look at Greenland on this global scale here. The capital of Greenland, Nuuk, 2,300 miles from Washington, D.C. There's only 57,000 people in all of Greenland. Nuuk is also 2,800 miles from Moscow, which is the capital of Russia, as you can see right there. But also England and Germany, roughly 2,000 miles, 2,300 miles from Greenland. You see how this is like a major vantage point for America? Florida Congressman Randy Fine, sir, you're introducing legislation to make it the 51st state, but they have to agree to that.
Well, actually, what my bill does, and thanks for having me, what my bill does is give that legal framework to help President Trump get it done. It gives him the legal authority to annex it. Because everything you said is true. Greenland should be part of the United States, and we cannot let it fall into the hands of Russia and China, who have made an effort to take it. The fact of the matter is 50,000 people could choose to become part of Russia or China, and that would put the United States at risk. We saw what happened in Venezuela when bad guys take over there. We can't allow that to happen in Greenland.
Right. And look, I hate NATO. I think they're a bunch of morons. But, you know, they're saying, oh, if you do this, we're going to kick you out of NATO. It's like, fine. So we save $50 billion a year. We are NATO anyway. Like Canada and these other places, like Germany and all these other NATO countries are like, hey, we benefit from America. So what are they going to do? Are they going to send us a sternly worded letter?
Well, look, NATO benefits a lot more from America than America benefits from NATO. And the fact of the matter is we've asserted in this country for 200 years that we're in charge of what happens in this hemisphere. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is Greenland is not in Europe. It is in the Western Hemisphere, as you showed. And they just want to hold on to these territorial disputes that they had from 1,000 years ago when they sailed big boats around the ocean. We're looking at real threats where China and Russia use these trade routes, and Russia's weapons would have to fly over Greenland to get to America. In the same way that being part of America has worked out for Alaska, the same will be true for the people of Greenland.
But all the 10-pound heads and the white paper, white shoe law firms are all saying, well, it's going to cost $700 billion. There was a report that was like, if you gave everybody in Greenland $100 grand, it would only cost $5.7 billion because there's only 57,000 people. And you say, we'll give you $100 grand to vote to annex to America. And like most of Greenland were like, actually, that sounds like a pretty good idea.
Yeah, or we could just say they're Somalians and then give them $9 billion. I mean, the left doesn't seem to have a problem in giving foreigners money. I think when it's in America's interest, then they have a problem with it. When it's to send it overseas to turn it into terrorists, then they're all for it. So I'm really not that interested in what all these white hats have to say.
Yeah, well, Randy Fine, I hope this bill makes a reality. We appreciate it, sir.
Thanks for having me.
All right, coming up, the simple question libs can never answer. You probably know what I'm talking about. Next, our Culture Clash.
O'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Hi, I'm Ben Cozy. Isn't traveling a pain in the neck? You're cramped, uncomfortable, and forget about getting any rest. There's nothing cozy about airplane seats or hard plastic benches, and those so-called travel pillows, they just don't cut it. You don't need another travel pillow. You need Be Cozy, the world's most comfortable neck pillow. Trapped in the middle seat? Wrap Be Cozy around your neck to stop chin drop, bobblehead napping. Smashed up against the window? Fold Be Cozy over and tuck it onto your shoulder for super side support. Frequent flyer miles got you sitting aisle? Turn Be Cozy to the side for the perfect pillow position. Everyone wants to be cozy, so get the world's most comfortable travel neck pillow and be cozy just like me, Ben Cozy. You get to be cozy. Everyone gets a Be Cozy. Only Be Cozy has patented overlapping arms so you get double support and the comfort you need in any seat on any trip. Go online right now and get this exclusive TV offer. Buy one Be Cozy, get one 50% off. Get yours now.
Honestly, I was scared when I was told age-related macular degeneration could jeopardize my vision. But I'm relieved that my eyes are getting clinically proven support because my doctor and I made a plan that includes PreserVision.
PreserVision AREDS 2 contains the exact NEI-recommended nutrient formula clinically proven to help reduce the risk of moderate to advanced AMD progression, and it's backed by over 20 years of clinical studies.
Thanks to PreserVision, I feel better that I'm doing something about it, like millions of others. It's my vision, PreserVision.
This isn't your average pill. This is Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks.
Rose Sparks is a fast-acting solution because it dissolves under your tongue.
Rose Sparks.
Guys, get started today.
Connect with a provider to find out if Rose Sparks are right for you.
Set sail toward fast asthma relief with Brethora.
$300 for a refill?
Don't pay that. Use Single Care. Look up your prescription, show the coupon to the pharmacist, and save.
See why more people are saving with Single Care.
JB Smoove, what are you doing here?
I'm always here. I know what you're doing here, though.
Consumer Cellular commercial. You know, we should get you signed up.
Aren't I too young?
We got deals for people over 50.
That sounds great. Sign me up. Make it happen, Teddy.
Right now, get your second month free. Call Consumer Cellular.
Your ED could be in your head, but for too long, outdated ED meds have been obsessed with your plumbing, giving no thought to the spark that starts in your brain way before anything even twitches. That's why we made Rougiette Ready, the first ED med that works on both brain and body, with sildenafil and tadalafil to help optimize your body's body's natural response, and apomorphine to complement that reaction in your brain. So don't just get a reaction, get ready.
Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women.
The goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal is.
Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
can men get pregnant?
I take care of many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women.
That was real. There was a doctor on Capitol Hill today. It just kept going for like 5 minutes. There was a Senate hearing protecting women, exposing the dangers of chemical abortion drugs. Josh Hawley, the senator, just literally questioning a doctor. Didn't want to answer the question. Moments before the interaction, she literally said, science and evidence should control, not politics. The irony, literally die on this hill. Cliff Maloney, political strategist, and Kristin Tate, columnist at the Boston Herald. Kristin, can men get pregnant?
No, it's very simple.
Are you sure?
But I hope that I'm pretty sure.
But are you a
yeah,
doctor?
I'm pretty sure about that. No, but, I do have, a functioning brain. So, this is something that even toddlers understand, that men don't get pregnant. But I hope they keep asking this question and just stuttering over it, Carl, because this is exactly the kind of thing that wins Republicans elections, especially because, the midterms are usually a bloodbath for the party in power. So I hope they keep doing this stuff. It really turns off normal voters who have common sense.
It's literally going to be a campaign ad for the next 8 months. Yeah. All right, Cliff, yesterday when a United Auto Workers line worker, TJ Sabula, heckled Trump during his visit to the Ford plant, well, Trump made sure to put him in his place, and this is my president right here. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, and middle finger. Love it. Cliff?
Yeah, look, when I see stuff like this, this reminds me why we voted for him, right? We're all sick of kind of the nonsense and the screaming on the left because you want to have a temper tantrum. We've had enough. And I think when you watch Trump do that, sure, people will say, they're going to clutch their pearls and say, well, we should be above that. No, the left is lunatics in this country. They're absolutely insane. And every once in a while, you got to kind of let loose. Let them have it. It's exactly what Trump did. And I think he speaks for so many people that are tired of the radical left screaming.
Yeah, and they took away dodgeball, so we can't peg these people in the face with rubber balls anymore. So this is what we got. All right, Joy Behar over at The View. Scared, Kristin, that Trump is going to declare martial law and cancel the midterms. Roll this.
I really worry about that Trump is looking for this kind of pandemonium to go on, like you just described, so that he could declare martial law or something, and also cancel the midterms.
Well, under martial
Watch
law,
out
you
for
won't
this
have
guy.
elections.
Yeah,
That's what she said.
Weird, because those same people at The View praised Zelensky when he canceled all the elections in his country.
Yeah, and I really don't feel like hearing screeching from leftists about martial law. These are the same people who shut down schools in this country gladly for over a year for children, made us all wear masks everywhere we went, killed an untold number of small businesses. I had to wear a mask on my face while I was taking a run at my gym. It was ridiculous. These people were glad to support all these measures, but now they're all happy to screech about martial law because they think it's going to scare their voters against voting for Trump. It's ridiculous.
It's really dumb. But this is the other thing, and Cliff, I don't. The creator of Dilbert Comics, Scott Adams, sadly passed away yesterday after a battle with cancer. But the left, of course, is rehashing comments he made that got him canceled in 2023. A video on his YouTube channel basically called black people a hate group when commenting on a poll that found that nearly half of all black people are not okay with white people. Roll this.
So if nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to this poll, not according to me, according to this poll, that's a hate group. That's a hate group. And I don't want to have anything to do with them.
And he was canceled for that.
Look, Scott Adams is a saint. He's a songbird of our generation. May he rest in peace. But this is what the left does. They try to find things. They did this to Shane Gillis when Shane Gillis was hired to be on SNL. You know, they pull up all these past statements and they search. And the left is so good at doing this. They want to find one thing and they want to try to frame it as this person being evil or this person, you know, he had to have been canceled. You're trying to cancel a dead guy. Get a life. Scott Adams is a saint. And it's just a shame that they always go back into this stuff thinking that they're going to have the moral high ground. We're done with this. We're not canceling people for comments that even when you take them out of context, the guy's dead. Let's let him rest in peace.
Yeah, but also, I don't really care if they're upset about anything anymore because they've banged that bell too many times. Cliff, Kristin, we appreciate it as always.
Thank you, Carl.
All right, coming up, Senator Mark Kelly released a stupid video hitting back at Hegseth's demotion threat. Have these people ever learned? Next.
Newsmax.
Shoots it straight. No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think. Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax. Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think. They let me decide.
Real news for real people.
Joining us is Dr. Drew from the Wellness Company with advice for dealing with seasonal colds and flu. Doctor?
Cold and flu season is here, and every year you or a loved one gets sick. Your doctor can't see you. Waiting in a crowded urgent care is brutal. This is a particularly bad cold and flu season, and it's why doctors suggest every family needs an emergency medical kit. Your medical emergency kit is filled with essential prescriptions. It includes antibiotics like generic Z-Pak to get well faster, amoxicillin for pneumonia, strep throat, ear infections, plus prescriptions for nausea and UTIs, and even ivermectin. It's easy. Just match your symptoms to the prescription in your guidebook or call the telemedicine doctor standing by. Take your medication early and feel better faster. Having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care in your home. No waiting to see a doctor, no lines at the pharmacy.
Smart advice. We've shared the website and discount code below to save viewers $45. Order now and your kit will be rushed to your door. Thank you, doctor.
Total Beats, America's best-selling Beats brand, is available at Walmart. Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews contain a key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. Take control of your health. Head to Walmart and get Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews today.
Do you have a yo-yo smile? Sometimes yellow, sometimes white. It's a constant battle between everyday stains and whitening treatments. Until now, get Smile Actives, the daily teeth whitening breakthrough that gives you a more youthful smile and helps you keep it.
At 43 years old, I don't mess around with products that waste my time. Smile Actives is easy, and it works. No gloopy trays, no messy strips. Just add a little bit on top of your toothpaste when you brush your teeth. And ta-da, white teeth.
Just add Smile Actives to your favorite toothpaste and watch the magic happen. Our patented Polyclean microfoam lifts away deep stains for a dramatically younger and whiter smile.
You have a choice. You can have those yellow teeth and just be old Nana or Pop-Pop, or you can be smiling and dazzling and full of confidence. I love my white teeth.
Scan, click, or call for your whitest smile yet. And if you order right now, we'll double your whitening free. Get an extra Smile Actives as our free gift to you, but only while supplies last.
I drink coffee every day. I started noticing that my teeth were not as bright as I'd like them to be, a little dingy, but Smile Active, it works. Got your boy gleaming.
100% of users saw whiter teeth. Smile Actives lifts away even the toughest stains from coffee, wine, and food, gently restoring your bright, youthful smile. Plus, it's safe for veneers, crowns, and dentures.
It's really a no-brainer if you want to whiten your teeth.
Clinically shown to brighten your teeth 5 shades whiter in just 7 days.
If you could use something so easy like Smile Actives to take yellow teeth to white teeth, why wouldn't you?
Act now. Get Smile Actives for just $24.95 and we'll double your order. Free. But hurry, this deal won't last. Smile Actives is guaranteed to work. Whiten your teeth or get your money back. No questions asked. Don't wait. Get Smile Actives for just $24.95 and we'll send you a second bottle absolutely free. That's free shipping. A free extra bottle. That's an incredible 58% savings. Scan the code, go to smileactives.com or call to get your beautiful whiter smile now.
Strange video hitting back at Pete Hegseth after censuring him and weirdly displaying his uniform behind him. Just look at this. It's so weird.
Pete Hegseth wants our longest-serving military veterans to live with the constant threat that they could be deprived of their rank and pay years or even decades after they leave the military just because he or another Secretary of Defense doesn't like what they've said. I filed a lawsuit against the Secretary of Defense because there are few things as important as standing up for the rights of the very Americans who fought to defend our freedoms.
Okay. I mean, can you imagine if I sat here every night with like my uniform just like popped up behind me because that's the only identity I have? I mean, what a loser. Former Naval Intelligence Officer and economist John Jordan and legal analyst Jay Town. Okay, Jay, turns out you can't like try to incite an insurrection within the military.
Yeah, and Carl, I have my dress blues in my dining room properly displayed, so I don't know what you're talking about, but it's pretty common, I think, among, masculine men. It's absolutely ridiculous to see his uniform in the background there. But to the legal portion, Article 88 of the UCMJ, or 10 U.S.C. 888, prohibits any contemptuous or disdainful remarks regarding the Commander-in-Chief, Vice President, Homeland Security Secretary, or the Secretary of War. So saying Hegseth is the most unqualified secretary in history, that would qualify. Suggesting that he has given illegal or unlawful orders, that would qualify. And that applies to any retired military officer. So for folks at home, that means everybody who's a major and above. He's a retired captain, colonel everywhere else, 06, and he's receiving his pension, his retirement. That allows that jurisdiction of Article 88. And as you said earlier in one of your previous segments, FAFO. This is what he is finding out at the moment.
Yeah, John, but here's the other thing, is one of the other talking heads from the seditious six, Alyssa Slotkin, all right, telling the New York Times that the DOJ is investigating her. And I'm like, I don't feel the least bit bad for you because you guys investigated me for going to school board meetings for wanting masks to be taken off my children.
So putting both my hat, naval officer's hat, and my lawyer hat on, like my co-panelist there. First of all, my uniforms are in my closet: the whites, the blues, the khakis,
in a bag.
Yeah, hung up respectfully, but not displayed prominently for everybody to see necessarily. So here, Alyssa Slotkin is not subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and she's just being investigated. It's a very low bar for the FBI to open up an investigation and see if she violated any laws or not. No subpoenas are filed. Nothing is happening to her legally. But she's in a different basket than Senator Kelly, who is subject to the UCMJ as a retired naval officer, who is collecting pay. And so Senator Kelly should have known that. But the real takeaway here is that Senator Kelly is running for president, and that's what this is really about.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's another one I want to get to, and this is about the Washington Post reporter. So the FBI, they do this raid, okay? They go in and they raid a Washington Post reporter's house. Now, it's linked to a guy who had given classified information or had been is a contractor who had a TSSCI clearance, and he had classified information in his lunchbox or something like that. Now, but here's the issue, is we're going back to like the Pentagon Papers and the issues of that is, can they publish, can the free press publish classified stuff, and do they have to disclose their sources? What do you say about this, J-Town?
So the Pentagon Papers case, the New York Times versus United States case, that was a piece of civil litigation where the United States tried to stop the New York Times and the Washington Post from publishing information about the origins of the Vietnam War. Those were the Pentagon Papers. As far as the search and seizure of evidence as it relates to the prosecution of Aurelio Perez Lugones, who's the government contractor about which you spoke, or even the reporter themselves for possessing classified material, our Constitution is not a suicide pact. The First Amendment carves out no immunity for members of the press, and neither do any of our laws. Our prosecutorial discretion in the past has lent us to not prosecute the reporters, but rather the leakers. But that is not the law. And so I would say that this individual reporter is going to be under some great scrutiny. But the evidence gained also is in the prosecution of this government contractor.
We'll see what happens. John, Jake, got to leave it right there. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, coming up, unrest in Iran as protesters continue their freedom movement. President Trump assuring them help is on the way, and they just closed the airspace over there. Details next.
Don't kibble your dog.
Hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
What's wrong with this?
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means they're ultra-processed. At Dr. Marty, we freeze-dried premium meats, fruits, and vegetables, and they're gonna love it.
The Wall Street Journal said silver could be the trade of a decade.
Eric Sprott said $250 to $500 an ounce is entirely possible.
Gold recently surpassed its inflation-adjusted all-time high. Silver's inflation-adjusted all-time high is $209 an ounce.
And silver went up 1,300% from 1974 to 1980. Silver's got a lot of room to run.
Give Patriot Gold Group a call at 1-800-778-4156.
Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold and silver dealer nationwide. The only firm nationwide where you, the client, work directly with an owner. Home of the No Fee for Life IRA. See how easy it is to protect your IRA with physical gold and silver.
Call now, 1-800-778-4156.
At Interactive Brokers, independent RIAs work with the best research and trading tools designed to help them outperform the markets. Meet them at Interactive Brokers Investors Marketplace for advisors. Advisors at Interactive Brokers keep all they earn on our low-cost platform, with no ticket fees or custody charges, low margin rates, and high interest earned on idle cash. To get better results, get a better platform. The best informed investors choose Interactive Brokers.
My daughter's a content creator making videos featuring her artwork that thousands of people watch online. The one day she said she got a message from a cute boy in a hoodie and wanted to know if she'd be interested in a collab and sent her a link. After she tried to open this link, Guardio blocked the link and then sent me a notification and let me know that my daughter might be in trouble. I can't constantly monitor my daughter to make sure she's being safe online, but Guardio can.
Check if you and your loved ones are safe online. Go to Guardio.com now.
Lock in 50% off for 1 year when you subscribe to the Whole Health System.
Oh, it's cold outside. Time to protect your vehicle from winter's wrath. Of course, the hot sun can be tough on vehicles too. You need WeatherTech. Laser-measured floor liners and cargo liner will shield the carpeting from sand and snow. For your interior, there's seat protector and sunshade, plus mud flaps and bump step for the exterior. Impact liner with shock-absorbing rings safeguards your truck bed from costly damage. Order American-made products at WT.com. Surf's up.
Does this mean military action is now off the table against Iran?
We're going to watch and see what the process is, but we were given a very good statement by people that are aware of what's going on.
Considering military action,
when they say no executions, everyone is talking about a lot of executions were taking place today. We were just told no executions. I hope that's true.
That was President Trump a little bit earlier today, talking about reassurances from the Iranian leaders that the killings are going to stop as the protests rage on. Now, the estimates are like 1,200 to 12,000 civilians killed. We actually don't know. This is as the U.S. has begun removing troops and equipment from the Middle East. I mean, is something coming? Iran has just closed its airspace. Are we about to see Lake America where Iran once was? Well, who knows? Host of Savage Nation, Michael Savage. Sir, what do you think's going on tonight?
It looks like Trump's getting ready to strike again. God knows how far and how deep. The real question is, where is the crybaby left? Where are the crying leftists? Where are all of the people who have sympathy for the devil? The answer is they're on the side of the theocracy, the 14th century throwbacks. And the Persian people deserve liberation from these Islamist gerontological theocrats. They are using the old tactic, which is the enemy of my enemy is my friend, meaning Iran is an enemy of Israel. And these leftists in America who claim to be progressive and in favor of all good things, they actually hate Israel more than the 14th century throwbacks.
But here's the other thing, too, is Iran's been at war with America since like 1979. We haven't been at war with them, but they've been at war with us. And when I was in Iraq, all of the people that I knew that were killed there were killed by, and we can trace this definitively, to weapons and explosives and other things that were paid for, trained by, provided by Iran. These guys suck. And I am not opposed to striking these things, but if we strike them and don't do anything, we're just going to be back at square one. Like, what do we have to do? Turn it into a 6-foot thick sheet of glass and drill through it to make our point?
You can't turn the entire Persian nation into glass because you're going to kill a lot of innocent people while the 14th century mullahs are hiding in their underground bunkers. This is a problem. I don't have an answer. I'm not a military strategist. I'm a social observer. But the real question is, all the people rioting in America on the left, they're silent on the Iran deaths because they support the current regime. They actually support the 14th century mullahs. They hate Israel. So the left hates the Jews more than they love the freedom for the Iranian people. It's horrible. It's horrible to watch.
Jews overwhelmingly voted for Democrats in the last election. So I'm so confused by that.
Liberalism is a mental disorder. I've written about it. I left New York in 1970 because of those people. I am Jewish. I am very proud of the fact that I am what I am, period. That's who I am. I pray to God in Hebrew. And all we do is pray to God in Hebrew. That's all we do in the holy books. We don't talk about politics. Yeah. So the fact, that's the way I approach God, is through the ancient book, okay? The original book, the 5 books of Moses. That's all there is. But the thing is, I can't speak for the psychos. I cannot speak. The only answer I have, and it's a bit comedic in the political arena, is how could so many New York Jews have voted for Mamdani? The only explanation I have is that the mother used too much seltzer during their gestation, and the carbon dioxide damaged their brainstem. It makes no sense otherwise. I have no answers to this. Right, but liberalism is a mental disorder. In this case, it's a fatal mental disorder.
But also, like, Iran is issuing, I want to get back, obviously, to the topic here, that Iran is issuing threats against President Trump. They broadcasted a picture of him at the 2024 Butler rally assassination attempt with words, "This time we will not miss the target." I mean, they do all kinds of stuff. They released that stupid drone video that was AI. They do, like, okay, so you want to mess around? Like, maybe tonight they find out.
They are the heart of the monstrosity called Islamists in the world. They are behind virtually every bomb that goes off, every bomb, every IED. They are behind almost all of the evil on the planet. The Iranian people are Persian people. Let's not forget that. They had a very advanced society. Could you imagine women were able to drive and teach in schools? Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
And then along come these old guys from the 14th century. They say women can't drive, women can't teach in school. Women have to wear tents over their bodies.
Country. Yeah, no, they destroyed the whole country.
Carl, you're the military guy. How do you target? They're like a cancer cells. How do you target only the cancer cells, not the healthy cells?
Exactly.
How do you do that?
Radiation, funny enough. Michael Savage, pleasure, sir. We appreciate it.
Love it. Thanks for having me.
All right, folks, unfortunate news that Michael Reagan has passed away this month, as we told you. He was one of the founding contributors to this network and website, Newsmax.com. He was more than the son of the President Reagan. He was a best-selling author, nationally syndicated radio host, powerful advocate for faith, family, and strong America. Today, he was laid to rest, and Michael authored the best-selling book, Lessons My Father Taught Me, a personal account of growing up with his father, Ronald Reagan, with the values instilled in him. Look, if you don't have a copy, Lessons of My Father Taught Me, it's available on Amazon, bookstores everywhere. You can check it out. Free offer with Newsmax. Our prayers and our thoughts and hopes are with his family. We at Newsmax will keep his legacy alive. And before we go, don't hate the government enough? You probably will after this one. Next.
The press won't report the real story.
The American people are actually very smart.
Ridiculous statements.
These guys are just plain weird.
Actual scandals.
Even the immunity decision. I mean, that decision was so misreported.
That's my job, and I aim to do it every night.
When it comes to my daily heart health supplement, I've got 3 rules. It's got to be plant-based, it's got to be doctor recommended, and it's got to be Super Beets from Human.
Super Beets is the #1 cardiologist recommended beet brand for heart health support with clinically studied grapeseed extract for nearly 2 times more effective blood pressure support than diet and exercise alone.
Super Beets works. I swear by it, and I know you're going to love it too.
Try Super Beets today at human.com.
Stacked in boxes filled with moments once cherished, where do these older home movies belong today? At iMemories, we transform your cherished tapes and films into vibrant digital memories. Simply mail them in. We'll do the rest. Then, relive these perfected memories on any modern device. Your TV, computer, or phone becomes a gateway to the past. Every laugh, every step, every cherished moment, now just a tap away. Get started today at iMemories.com.
Joining us is Dr. Drew from the Wellness Company with advice for dealing with seasonal colds and flu. Doctor?
Cold and flu season is here, and every year you or a loved one gets sick. Your doctor can't see you. Waiting in a crowded urgent care is brutal. This is a particularly bad cold and flu season, and it's why doctors suggest every family needs an emergency medical kit. Your medical emergency kit is filled with essential prescriptions. It includes antibiotics like generic Z-Pak to get well faster, amoxicillin for pneumonia, strep throat, ear infections, plus prescriptions for nausea and UTIs, and even ivermectin. It's easy. Just match your symptoms to the prescription in your guidebook or call the telemedicine doctor standing by. Take your medication early and feel better faster. Having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care in your home. No waiting to see a doctor, no lines at the pharmacy.
Smart advice. We've shared the website and discount code below to save viewers $45. Order now and your kit will be rushed to your door. Thank you, doctor.
A new year brings new threats, and Cyberman's ready for every one of them. While hackers plot their next move, Cyberman's already there, protecting families, businesses, and governments before danger can strike. This year, protect what matters most with easy-to-use award-winning protection. With PCmatic, you get American-made protection that's faster, smarter, and stronger. Start 2026 with confidence. Visit PCmatic.com today.
Here we go again. Everyone wants to know. So here it is.
Melania, rated PG, exclusively in theaters January 30th.
Whether it's care before or after school, or a sitter for date night, you don't have to hire just anyone. You can find a background-checked caregiver who's the right fit for you. Join now and find care at care.com.
Muscle cramps were keeping me up at night, so then I tried Slowmag, the magnesium plus calcium supplement that helps relax tense muscles so I can rest comfortably. And Slowmag tablets have a slow-release formula that's gentle on my stomach. That's why I use Slowmag.
Look, I pride myself on giving you reasons every night why you should probably hate not just the federal government, but basically all government. And despite my best efforts, you just don't hate them enough. Why is that? Because of stories like this that even I couldn't make up. The so-called experts over at the Congressional Budget Office are so confident that the Pentagon changing its name from the Department of Defense to the Department of War, the War Department, is going to cost the taxpayers so much money. In fact, how much? They say, well, I don't know, it could be between $10 and $125 million. These brainiacs, so this is the best they can do. If you are off by, I don't know, 1,000%, just don't release a number. If you're that far off, I mean, you're off by 115 million, 10 or 125, like, just don't say anything at all. These are the people, too, that time and time again keep telling us that Trump's economy is not going to work. It's like everybody in the government, or at least that sector, is like a clone of Jim Cramer, Rob.
Isn't it funny how they always care about how much money's being wasted in moments like this? Right. The people that have lit all of our money on fire.
All of it.
This is when they care.
Yeah, exactly. And
it's
they're
amazing.
Off by that much.
And you don't know how much I hate the government. Maybe I hate it enough.
Probably not.
Maybe not as much as you know. Carl, good to see you. All right.